Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This time we're going to really dig into Tesla's Q3 2024 update. We've got their shareholder report here. And let me tell you, this thing's packed with info. So get ready, folks, as we break down everything, from their financials and operations to their future plans, are right here in this single document.
It is pretty amazing to see how Tesla keeps innovating. They're pushing the boundaries of EVs and sustainable energy. This report gives us a peek into their strategies, how they're navigating the current economic situation and setting some seriously ambitious goals for the future.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The report starts off with some really impressive financial highlights. Check this out. Tesla hit record sales in Q3. And you know what that means? They're bringing in a ton of cash from other automakers, the ones who are struggling to meet those emission standards. It's their second highest quarter ever for regulatory credit revenues.
Yeah, it really shows how dominant Tesla is in the EV market. Not only are they leading in production, but they're also taking advantage of their position, with all these regulations.
And here's something that really blew my mind. Their cost of goods sold per vehicle dropped to a record low, $35,100. That's incredible.
That's a massive accomplishment. It shows how dedicated Tesla is to efficiency and cutting costs. It's crucial if they want to make EVs affordable for the average buyer.
For sure. And Tesla is laser focused on affordability. They've announced plans to launch new, more budget-friendly models sometime in the first half of 2025. So if you're dreaming of owning a Tesla, it might be closer than you think.
Those new models could be a game changer, expanding Tesla's market to a whole new segment. It's exciting to think about how that'll affect EV adoption.
Absolutely. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Even with these big plans for the future, Tesla's Q3 performance was phenomenal. They reported $2.7 billion in GAAP operating income and $2.2 billion in GAAP net income. And for anyone who needs a reminder, GAAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles, which basically means their accounting methods are solid. Oh, and did I mention they generated $2.7 billion in free cash flow?
Wow, those numbers are seriously impressive. It shows that Tesla is in a really strong financial position and that they can generate the cash they need to fund these big projects and all their research and development too.
So they've definitely got the money to back up their ideas. But how are those numbers actually playing out in the real world? Let's shift gears and take a look at what Tesla's been doing operationally.
Well, the report highlights the fact that their production and delivery volumes are still growing. They saw a 9% increase in production and a 6% increase in deliveries compared to the same time last year. And just last month, they hit a major milestone. They produced their 7 millionth vehicle.
7 million. That's a lot of Teslas on the road.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. The report breaks down their global production capacity, showing how they're making different models in different regions. For example, they've been ramping up production of the refreshed Model 3 at their U.S. factories, which probably explains that impressive cost reduction we were talking about.
Yeah, refreshing the Model 3 and increasing production is a smart move. It keeps them competitive in the EV market, which is getting more crowded all the time.
You know what else is interesting? The Cybertruck is finally gaining some traction. Production increased in Q3, and for the first time, it actually achieved a positive gross margin.
Now, that's an interesting detail. It seems like they're overcoming those initial production hurdles and figuring out how to make the Cybertruck a success story.
It seems that way. And for anyone who loves road trips, Tesla keeps expanding their Supercharger network. They added over 2,800 new stalls in Q3. Less range anxiety, more scenic routes to explore.
Expanding the Supercharger network is so important. It really helps people feel comfortable switching to electric, especially if they're worried about long-distance travel.
Absolutely. Now let's get to the core of Tesla's innovation, their core technology advancements, specifically in AI and autonomous driving. This is where things get really futuristic.
It's true. This is where Tesla's vision for transportation really shines. They're not just making electric vehicles. They're reimagining how we get around using AI.
By Q3, Tesla vehicles had driven over 2 billion miles, using their full self-driving software in supervised mode. And get this, more than half of those miles were on their latest version, FSD V12. That's a ton of real-world data feeding their AI development.
It's an incredible amount of data, and Tesla uses it to refine and improve their self-driving capabilities. Every mile driven is like a lesson for their AI system.
They're definitely putting that data to work. They released the 12.5 series of FSD with some big upgrades in safety and comfort. All thanks to that data, a bigger parameter count, and some clever design tweaks. It's like your car's getting smarter with every mile.
It really highlights how committed Tesla is to autonomous driving. They're constantly improving based on real-world feedback.
And to support these ambitious AI projects, they've built this incredible infrastructure. Down in Texas, they have a 29,000 H100 GPU cluster. It's like a supercomputer just for AI development. And they're not stopping there. They're projected to hit 50,000 H100 capacity by the end of October. It's like the brain power of thousands of high-end gaming computers, all working together to make Tesla's AI dreams a reality.
That's some serious computational power. It shows just how big Tesla's AI ambitions are.
And speaking of big ambitions, Tesla unveiled two incredible concepts: the Cybercab and the Robo, both designed for full autonomy. No steering wheels, no pedals, just pure AI driving. And they're built on a brand new, super efficient powertrain that promises amazing range and performance.
This is where Tesla's expertise in both EVs and AI comes together. It's a glimpse into a future where transportation is electric and autonomous. It could completely change how we live and move.
Okay, let's take a break from the self-driving cars for a minute and talk about Tesla's energy business. Remember, they're not just an electric vehicle company. They're a major player in the sustainable energy world. And their Q3 performance in this sector was impressive. They achieved a record gross margin of 30.5%.
Wow, that's huge. It shows how much demand there is for sustainable energy solutions, and it means Tesla is using their battery technology and manufacturing skills to really make a mark in this growing market.
Their Powerwall deployments are through the roof, hitting record numbers for the second quarter in a row. And their Lathrop mega factory, which makes those massive megapack systems, is running like a well-oiled machine. They're producing an amazing 200 megapacks per week at Lathrop, which translates to a 40 GWh annual run rate just from that one factory.
That's a really fast ramp up for both Powerwall and Megapack. It shows Tesla is serious about meeting the demand for energy storage. This is important for homeowners who want backup power, but also for grid stability on a larger scale.
And here's another cool thing. By Q3, over 100,000 Powerwalls were enrolled in virtual power plant programs. So these Powerwalls aren't just providing backup power to homes, they're also helping out the grid, providing support during peak demand and even making some money for their owners.
That's a great example of how Tesla is thinking differently. They're connecting individual energy storage units into a bigger network to create a smarter, more resilient energy grid. It's a glimpse into a future where decentralized energy is really important.
So we've covered a lot: impressive financials, operational milestones, groundbreaking AI advancements, and a booming energy business. But there's still more to unpack in this report, especially about Tesla's outlook for the future. Join us in part 2, where we'll dive deeper into their plans and analyze what it all means for transportation and energy. You won't want to miss it.
You know, it's really interesting to see how Tesla's approaching things, this economic uncertainty. I mean, they're ambitious, but also realistic, you know?
Yeah, exactly. They're not just throwing caution to the wind. They want to grow, but they also want to stay financially strong.
Exactly. And their vision for future profits is really fascinating. They're not just focused on hardware sales anymore. They see a big role for AI, software, and fleet-based services.
Right, so it's not just about selling cars and energy products. It's about building a whole ecosystem
Yeah.
where software and services are the key drivers for revenue, which is a smart move, right? Recurring revenue is always good.
For sure. It's like shifting from a traditional manufacturing model to something more technology-driven. And it all ties into their focus on autonomous driving. Imagine a fleet of self-driving cars making money through ride-hailing. That's the kind of future Tesla's working towards.
Okay, so we've talked about how Tesla's financially strong, operationally efficient, technologically advanced, and how they're strategically positioning themselves for future growth. But let's dig into some specifics. What about those new, more affordable vehicles they keep mentioning?
Ah, yes. Their production plans are actually quite interesting. They're going to use parts of both their next-gen platform and their current platforms. Plus, they'll be produced on the same lines as their existing lineup.
So they're being smart, right? Using what they already have instead of building whole new factories, especially with all the economic uncertainty going around.
It's a really practical approach. It lets them get new products to market faster and more efficiently. Less spending, more output.
They did mention that this approach might mean a bit less cost reduction than they initially thought, but they said it helps them scale production more effectively, given the current economic situation.
Right, so they're prioritizing volume and efficient use of capital, over squeezing every last penny out of costs right now. It's a long-term vision.
Definitely. And this strategy should help them reach a maximum capacity of almost 3 million vehicles. That's over 50% growth compared to 2023.
That's incredible growth. And they're planning to do it without building any new production lines, at least for now. that really shows how well they can optimize their current facilities.
Okay, but what about their purpose-built robo-taxi product? They said they'll keep using a revolutionary unboxed manufacturing strategy for that. What does that even mean?
It's definitely something to think about. Unboxed suggests a completely new way of manufacturing, maybe something more modular or a more streamlined process. It's clear that Tesla's thinking outside the box here.
So basically, they're doing two things at once: expanding production of their current and new vehicles, while also developing this unboxed manufacturing for their robotaxi. It shows how they're approaching the future of vehicle design and production.
It reinforces the idea that Tesla isn't just an EV company, they're a tech company constantly innovating and disrupting things.
All right, let's get back to their energy business. They didn't give specific numbers for their 2024 energy storage goals, but they did say they expect deployments to more than double compared to last year.
That's a pretty bold statement. It shows they're confident about the growth of the energy storage market. They want to be a leader in this space.
And remember, that Powerwall 3 ramp-up we talked about, it's clear they're betting big on that and the Megapack. Plus, with over 100,000 Powerwalls already in virtual power plant programs, they're building a network that can actually help stabilize the grid and even provide some financial benefits to homeowners.
It's a great value proposition. They're offering a product that gives you backup power. Plus, it can potentially generate revenue and contribute to a more stable energy system.
They're approaching energy storage with the same innovation and ambition that they bring to their vehicles. It's not just about selling batteries, it's about creating a whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And that ecosystem is going beyond just homes and utility-scale storage. They're exploring other uses for their energy tech, too.
Like virtual power plants and microgrids. Those can power communities and businesses independently.
Exactly. It's a vision of a future where power outages are a thing of the past.
These initiatives really highlight Tesla's commitment to sustainable energy. They're building electric vehicles, yes, but they're also creating an energy ecosystem.
A system that brings generation, storage, and distribution together.
So we've covered a lot in this deep dive. Tesla's financials, their production plans, their AI work, and their vision for a sustainable energy future. But what does it all mean? What are the key takeaways here?
That's the big question, isn't it? Tesla isn't just a company, it's a force for change. They're pushing boundaries in both the automotive and energy sectors, and their actions are inspiring others to innovate and making consumers rethink their choices.
They're setting a new standard, showing that sustainability can be both high-tech and profitable. But with all this innovation, there are bound to be questions.
Of course.
Questions about whether they can achieve their goals, the challenges they might face, and what it all means for society.
Exactly. And those are the questions we'll explore in part 3 of this deep dive. We'll look at some of the unanswered questions and potential challenges Tesla faces as they keep pushing the limits of what's possible. Join us as we explore this exciting and rapidly changing landscape. Yeah, Tesla's journey is definitely a fascinating one, but it's important to remember that the future isn't set in stone.
It's true. It's like one of those choose-your-own-adventure books. The path they take, the impact they have, it all depends on so many things, you know? Like whether they can actually achieve these ambitious plans, how their competitors react, how the world changes around them.
You're absolutely right, and that's what makes it so interesting. We've talked a lot about their successes, but what about the challenges?
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Tesla says they expect slight delivery growth in 2024, despite what they call macroeconomic headwinds. What are those exactly, and how could they affect Tesla's growth?
Well, the global economy is facing some issues, right? Inflation's still a worry, interest rates are all over the place, and supply chains still haven't fully recovered from the pandemic. All of that could impact demand for vehicles, even electric ones. People might hold off on big purchases when things are uncertain.
So even though EVs are getting more popular, a weak economy could slow things down.
Exactly. But it's not all bad news. There are some things that could help Tesla too, like government incentives for EVs. Those are becoming more common in a lot of countries. They could help offset some of those economic pressures and make EVs more attractive to buyers.
So it's like a push and pull between different economic forces. And Tesla's caught in the middle trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation for sure. And speaking of tricky situations, Tesla's also talking about a pretty interesting shift in their profit strategy. They expect their hardware profits to be accompanied by an acceleration of AI, software, and fleet-based profits.
So what does that actually mean?
It means they're not just going to make money from selling cars and batteries. They're looking at AI, software, and services like robotaxis as major revenue streams.
So like they're becoming more of a tech company with a hardware base.
Exactly. Right now, they make most of their money selling you a physical product, like a car or a Powerwall. But they're thinking long term. They see a future where a lot of their revenue comes from things like subscriptions, for software features like full self-driving, or from the services provided by a fleet of robotaxis. It's a strategy with high profit margins, and it could really scale up. But it also depends on whether these technologies become successful and widely adopted.
Yeah, that makes sense. But let's be realistic here. Full self-driving technology still has a long way to go.
True.
There are technical challenges, regulations to figure out, and not to mention the ethical considerations of having machines driving cars.
You're bringing up some really important points. Tesla's great at pushing boundaries, but autonomous driving is incredibly complex. It's not just about having smart algorithms. You need strong safety protocols. And you need society to accept that machines can make decisions that affect human lives.
It's a huge responsibility. And even if they do perfect the technology, will people trust a computer to drive them? Especially with all the accidents we've seen with self-driving cars.
Trust is absolutely essential. Tesla needs to build confidence in their AI if they want to succeed here. They have to be transparent, test things rigorously, and be open about the limitations of the technology. They need to show people that self-driving cars aren't just a cool idea, but a safe and reliable way to get around.
So even though the idea of robotaxis is exciting, there's still a lot to work out. It's not just about the tech itself, but also the social and ethical stuff that comes with it.
You hit the nail on the head. Technology always interacts with human values and what society thinks is acceptable.
This has been an amazing deep dive. We've talked about Tesla's financials, their operations, their AI goals, and their vision for a sustainable energy future. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one last thought. Tesla's journey is just one part of a much bigger story. The future of transportation and energy is being shaped by so many things. Innovations, policy decisions, the choices people make every day.
It's a complex web, and everything's connected, and Tesla's a big part of that web, no question. But ultimately, their success depends on how they handle this ever-changing landscape.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure. The decisions we make today, the technologies we create, the things we value, they'll all determine what the future looks like. So as you go about your day, think about these things. How might electric vehicles and self-driving cars change your life? What role will sustainable energy play in the future? And most importantly, how can you help shape the world you want to live in?
Those are the questions we should all be thinking about. That's what the deep dive is all about, giving you the knowledge and insights you need to understand our complex world.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration of the topics that matter.